All right, I'm working on popping my holes for these, and I need to get these lined up correctly. So you can see in here, this inner tail structure has to be up against this. So I've already marked that. And then this one over here has been a little bit more difficult because I had to modify this because it was coming out here and it was sticking way out like this. It was ridiculous. So I ended up splitting it here and here and pushing it in. And so it's pinned where I normally keep it. And then looking in here, I've got a bit of a gap just on this flange. This was cut when I bought it. It came in like that, so I got to weld that back together anyway. Hopefully you're seeing. Grab my phone again and see if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Yeah. Yep. So basically I'm gonna come in here and probably split this right above this. Maybe split it. I probably won't have to split it. It's tight right here. So I'll just split it down here, push it out, and then weld a little, kind of V it out and weld that back together to where it's snug up against this. And then also make sure that this one here is pushed up against that flange as well, which once I split that, I'll be able to hammer it back and get it where it needs to be. So yeah, that's what I'm working on today, because I got to punch all these little holes for weld. Well, it'll be under here probably, since I want to weld from the top. I can't weld this panel on yet because the way I did my jig is I put little drilled through the frame, and then you can see there on the back of the jig or drilled a hole through this so I could put a bolt up through there. That held my frame on while I was working on that part of it and boxing it in and doing all that. So anyway, so yeah, that's that. And so I ground all this back because this was coming up, and actually when I was pinning my tail panel on, this, as you can see here, it's in here, and then as it goes, it started coming out here, and it's actually sticking out probably 1/8 of an inch or more. And so you're gonna end up not getting a good tight weld right there. If you just push it up against there, it's gonna leave a gap. So just a reminder that you're probably gonna have to cut these flanges down. You may have to bend them in or out one way or the other. Quite a bit more modification than I originally thought. And so yeah, I'm kind of attention to detail right now, making sure all this stuff, when it's ready to weld, it's going to be sucked up tight and right where it needs to be. So I think I gotta punch holes in the floor as well, but I'll put this back on and put it back together and figure out where exactly I need to do that. Again, I'm going to mark this so I can pop holes from the top side to weld this in, and then these holes are already popped in from the top side, so I'll be welding down instead of welding on my back. What else? I filled in all those holes up there. There were several holes that I had popped in that I hadn't filled in, so I went ahead and filled those in and ground them down and welded the inside of those, the little pockets here that'll catch my subframe connectors. I welded down inside there to strengthen it on like in a U shape. So it's welded outside and inside. That's pretty much it for now. I'm gonna split that and bend it out and get it to where it's forming correctly, like this one here is. As you can see there, it's tied up against it. And then mark my lines out and then re-weld that back together. So that's what I'm gonna do now. See you guys. pretty good, big gap to fill. I could use some wire and feed it in there. Some like my regular TIG wire. But I'm being lazy, so I've got some wire here, but it's too fat. It's too fat for that. Obviously, that's way too much. I'll probably have some smaller. It just help it not blow away. Also, using this backer, that would help as a heat sink to a degree. It's like I don't really want to hold it back there though. I like having two hands to weld. If you're not careful, you'll blow through pretty easily. And that's not good. Up there, good. You put a big tack on it like that, you can use that tack to work off of. So you can see what they call in TIG welding a keyhole basically, and you fill that, you keep working off of the fat metal. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here basically. So I know I got a big hole there, so I'm going to light up on the actual bead itself and then drag it out. If that makes sense. I don't know if it does or not. See, I've just used that bead and went off of it. And I can continue to come this way until until that hole starts opening up. Like this one did, which it's kind of trying to right now. Just a little bit at a time. That's a lot of heat I probably just put into that. So I'll let that cool. Come back over here and play with this side a little bit more. Again, as I get down this bigger, you can see this. Hopefully you're seeing. I'm seeing. Yeah. So obviously that's a pretty good size hole. That's almost a 1/4 inch right here, maybe a little over an 1/8, 3/16, somewhere in that area. And I'm just going to work it down using the fat of my previous welds. Again, I could use a wire and fill it, or I could use the backer. A lot of guys just clamp a backer on there, which would be fine. I mean, literally I could, but it's not really round. It's not the shape I need it to be right there. So it's not getting real close to that metal. So I'm just gonna go with it like that. Starting to open up, so I'll leave that alone. Yeah, it's starting to open up a bunch. I just blew a little hole through that one because it got greasy. No biggie. You see how I drew it down? And I'll use that. Kind of hit it, fill it, hit it, fill it. You see how I did that? I hit 3 little spots here in the middle and then down, kind of fill it. I should probably let that metal cool a little bit. I mean, there's a good bend right here, so I doubt it's going to do much. It's definitely not going to warp this because it's fairly cool. But this end here is going to be pretty hot. But that should be pretty easy to grind down. It's not the prettiest, but again, I'm filling in a big space, so it's not going to be the little pin, tack, whatever. I'm kind of having to pull it and pull it and pull it. And yeah, like I said, there's easier ways. You could take something to back that and make it a little bit easier, but you're still filling in a big area. That's 20 gauge sheet metal probably, so it's really thin. I'm running 030 wire. I run up pretty much 030 on everything. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you should run what is it, 021 or 021 I think, which is basically the same size as this. But I found that this wire really works well for pretty much everything. You can weld heavy stuff, and then you can weld sheet metal too if you're just delicate with it. And you can put a lot more heat into it and get off of it quicker to where you don't have the bigger heat range. So yeah, just some tips and tricks that I was taught. And you can blow this with air if you want to help cool it off. I see a lot of people do that. It cools fairly quickly. I mean, it's still a little warm, but not too bad. This is going to be tricky because that opened up a big hole. I'm going to have to really watch it here. So this video will get pretty long if I just keep doing this, but I'll fill this the rest of the way in, I'll grind it down, and I'll show you the end product. All right, that's it done. Like I said, it's not pretty, but it filled it in, and there's your backside. So all I gotta do is grind that down and it's done, it's good to go. Didn't take that long. It probably took less time had I used a backer like this, and I know a lot of people are gonna yell about that, but you know, you can do it a lot of different ways. So yeah, let me grind that down, and I'll fit it back up there and make sure everything is jiving right, and I'll show you that. All right, there's that. Got that piece in there, or well, actually piece. I folded it shut. You guys watch that. But yeah, that'll work. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that all back together and see how close it is, and I'll bring you up for that. Okay, now you can see that. All I need to do is clamp that and weld it. I'll suck this down a little bit. That's pretty tight. That's real tight. This, I probably need to bend it up just a little bit more. Pull this off and just kind of straighten it up. It's got, that's not enough to worry about really, but once it's clamped, it will definitely go away. Yep. Something down there, clamped in. Actually moved it over a bit. Yeah. And I'll come back in with the pointy clamp for that. These clamps here that have these edges, that way I can weld around it. So that's that. I'm ready to make some holes. Maybe make some holes. This one's good. Once I clamp it in there, it's good to go. So we'll make some holes. See ya. Well, there's a hole under here too. That's what the other side should have looked like, but I got carried away with the holes for some reason. No idea what I was thinking. They should be about every inch and a half away. That's like ridiculous. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where my brain was at that point, but there it is. So we'll fill those holes up with welds eventually. So that's it for today. Yeah, so I need to pop the holes in this. I'll do that next time, and then I think that should be it. I think I've already got holes in the underneath sides of this, like I said before, and I don't know. So all right, that's it. See ya.